An uncontrollable K9 was minutes away from being discarded forever, until a blind boy walked up, whispered one word, and shocked the entire police unit. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The K9 unit prided itself on discipline, control, and loyalty, but there was one dog that didn't fit the mold. His name was Rex, a powerful German shepherd. With piercing eyes and a growl that sent shivers down the spine of even seasoned officers. From the start, his strength and intelligence were undeniable. But so were the shadows. He snapped at handlers, lunged at fellow dogs, and shredded anything when confined. Training often ended in chaos, broken leashes, torn gloves, and shaken men. Uncontrollable, one officer muttered after barely dodging Rex's teeth. The word spread quickly. What should have been the department's most promising K9 became its greatest fear. And yet, in his eyes, beyond the fury, some swore they glimpsed pain. Not a broken beast, but a betrayed soldier. Still, hope for him was slipping away. The station's conference room buzzed with uneasy voices. Files were scattered across the table, reports of failed training sessions, close calls, and near injuries. Rex's name was circled in red ink on more than one page. Captain. Harris rubbed his temples, his voice heavy. We've given him every chance, every handler has tried. He's a danger to us, to civilians, even to himself. His words fell like a sentence. Around the table, officers shifted uncomfortably, but no one spoke up. Some of them remembered the hope they once had for Rex. Others had scars, physical and emotional, from trying to tame him. One officer finally broke the silence. Sir, if we can't control him, he doesn't belong in the field. It's only a matter of time before something goes wrong. The decision seemed inevitable. Rex would be retired permanently. Some whispered he might even be put down. The room fell quiet, a grim acceptance settling over them. But in the kennel, unaware of their plans, Rex paced restlessly, snarling at shadows, waiting for something, or perhaps someone, who had not yet arrived. While the officers wrestled with their decision, life outside the station carried on. One afternoon, the echo of small footsteps entered the building, soft but confident. It was Ethan, a 7-year-old boy with tousled brown hair and bright blue glasses that framed his sightless eyes. Ethan had been blind since birth, but he carried himself with a quiet strength. A white cane tapped gently against the floor as he walked beside his father, Officer Daniels. Daniels was one of the few who still visited Rex, even if from a distance. That day, Ethan had insisted on coming along. The boy was fascinated by the stories of K9s, dogs who were heroes, protectors, and partners. To him, they weren't just animals. They were soldiers with fur, brave in ways people often weren't. As they passed the kennels, Ethan paused. The air was thick with barking, but one sound stood apart. A deep, guttural growl. The hairs on his neck rose, but instead of fear, curiosity tugged at him. Is that him? Ethan asked softly, sensing the tension in his father's silence. Daniels swallowed hard. Yes, that's Rex, the dog no one can control. Ethan tilted his head, a faint smile forming. Maybe he's just waiting. The kennel corridor was alive with sound. Metal doors rattling, dogs barking, claws scratching against concrete. Yet as Ethan stepped closer, all of it seemed to fade, leaving only the steady, dangerous growl rumbling from Rex's cage. Officers exchanged uneasy glances. Keep him back, one warned sharply. That dog isn't safe. But Ethan only tightened his grip on his cane and tilted his face toward the sound. I'm not afraid, he said simply. His calmness unsettled the room more than Rex's. Growl. Rex lunged forward, teeth flashing as he hit the bars. Several officers jumped back, but Ethan didn't flinch. Instead, he raised one small hand, steady and gentle. I can hear you, he whispered, his voice soft yet certain. The German shepherd froze. His snarl wavered. ears flicking forward as if the boy's words had slipped past the rage. For the first time in months, Rex didn't lash out. He stared. The air grew heavy. Hardened officers, men who had nearly given up on the animal, watched in silence. Something unseen was happening, something none of them could explain. The kennel was silent now, except for the sound of Rex's heavy breathing. His eyes, once blazing with hostility, locked onto Ethan as if searching for something he couldn't name. The boy stood still, his small hand resting lightly on the bars, unshaken by the tension that gripped every officer in the room. "Ethan, step back," his father urged, his voice edged with fear. But the boy shook his head. No, he's not angry. He's hurting. His words, though soft, carried a conviction that silenced even the captain. Ethan leaned closer, lowering his voice until it was barely more than a whisper. The officers strained to hear, but only Rex caught it. The single word that slipped from the boy's lips. It wasn't a command from the training manuals. It wasn't even in the sharp tones handlers usually used. It was something simple. Something human. The effect was instant. Rex's body, tense and coiled, seemed to unravel. His ears flattened, and instead of lunging, he pressed his nose against the bars, letting out a low whine. Gasps rippled through the room. This was the dog they had labeled Uncontrollable, now calm beneath the voice of a child. Ethan reached out again, whispering that word once more. And this time, Rex closed his eyes, leaning into the sound like it was the first kindness he had known in years. From that moment, everything about Rex seemed different. The once furious German shepherd now sat quietly, his body pressed against the bars as if he couldn't get close enough to the boy's voice. His growls faded into low whines, soft and almost vulnerable. Ethan, guided by instinct rather than sight, slipped his small fingers between the bars. Officers held their breath, ready to pull him back at the first sign of danger. But Rex didn't snap. Instead, he lowered his head, pressing his scarred muzzle gently into the boy's hand. Gasps filled the kennel. The dog they had written off, the animal they had feared, was responding to a blind child with tenderness no one thought possible. Ethan smiled, tilting his face toward Rex. "You're not bad," he whispered. "You just needed someone to listen." For weeks, trainers had failed to reach Rex. Now, in minutes, Ethan had broken through the walls of rage and pain. It wasn't obedience, it was trust. The officers exchanged stunned looks. For the first time, hope stirred in the room, and deep in Rex's eyes, once wild with fury, flickered something no one had seen in him before. Peace. The officers weren't convinced. A calm moment in the kennel didn't prove Rex could be trusted outside. So, a controlled drill was arranged, a test to show whether the change was real or just chance. The training yard was tense. Officers stood at a distance, ready for anything. Rex was led out, his muscles taut, ears alert. Normally, he would already be snapping at the leash, but this time his eyes scanned the crowd until they found Ethan. The boy stepped forward, tapping, his cane across the gravel. "It's okay," he said softly. His small voice carried across the field, steady and sure. The moment was electric. Rex, once a beast impossible to command, sat at attention. When Ethan whispered the same word again, the German shepherd obeyed without hesitation, his tail lowering in calm submission. A stunned silence followed. For the first time, Rex had passed, not with force, but with trust born from a child's. And at the station, hardened officers who once wanted Rex gone now stood in awe. They had witnessed something beyond training or commands. It was a bond of pure trust. "That boy saved him," one officer whispered. Or maybe they saved each other. News of the unlikely pair spread quickly, inspiring families, schools, and other departments. Rex was no longer a failure. He was a symbol of redemption, proof that even the most broken spirit could find peace if given the right connection. And whenever Ethan whispered that word again, Rex would lower his head, eyes soft, reminding everyone that sometimes miracles don't bark, they listen.